and welcome to the Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. You can get us at clockend_talk. I am your host, Tez, and this week we have the old crew back. Tony, as a regular, you're here every week, so not really an old crew, but yeah, part of the walls, mate, part of the fabric. How are you?
Well, the founding father, I like to call myself.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm good. Just sort of back to normal life in the UK this week with gyms back open, so I'm fucking knackered. But apart from that, all good.
All good. And Darren, how are you, buddy?
When you said the old crew, is that because I'm old?
I was actually trying to think, because like you usually step in and host when I'm not available, and I'm thinking I can't remember the last time we were on a pod together.
Well, do you know what? I can look back, I can see it, because March the 4th, I'm looking at all the old podcasts here on your fabulous list, and it says Mike Dean is a question mark, and I think that was us. So that was March the 4th.
March the 4th, wow. Been a long time between drinks,
How
buddy.
are you, Tez? How's your health? Are you okay now? You went on holiday for a couple of weeks. Are you okay?
Yeah, mate. I just tell everybody I'm going okay, because it's a hell of a lot easier to say I'm going okay as opposed to telling them my list of problems. So it's I am getting there. It's an ongoing issue that will be for the rest of my life. But hey, it's I'm alive. I'm alive, mate. I'm here. So yeah, enjoying life at the moment. Enjoying
Good.
it, as my wife says. Okay, boys. This is going to be a part one of a part two series, because you wouldn't believe it. Well, we have been told that a certain Indian / Yankee / I don't know, wherever he's from, in Schwinn I'm talking about, has promised to join us next week. So next week we're going to do another part two of a recap of the Premier League. And at the start of this season, which has dragged on for seems like a year now, we actually did our predictions. We also did a 3-2-1, and so we're going to recap all of that stuff. And Tony did tell me this morning that our predictions weren't as good as I thought they were. So, okay, we're going to have a look at the last couple of games before I get into this season. On a recap on what's happened, I suppose. Aston Villa, Watford. Tony, I'm just going to get your thoughts on both games, mate.
We done Villa on the last one, didn't we? Did we do it the day before Villa? I thought we done it after the game. Oh,
did we? We done
Tez,
Villa.
not been well, weren't you listening?
I thought we'd done Liverpool City.
I'm pretty sure we done Villa, and if we didn't, it was shit. We didn't have a shot on target. Let's move on. It's just
okay.
It's so long ago. The season's over. Everyone knows what happened.
But
I think
Watford.
Anyway.
Have a quick recap of Watford. I know it's the last game of the season. Didn't mean much at all, but just to get your views on it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we played brilliantly. Them end of season games are weird because it's also almost like a basketball match. Both teams were open, and the problem we've got is, were we open because we were a back four and can we not play a back four at the moment, or was it just an open game, end of season game, where they had it all to play for and they had to come all guns firing, and we just had the narrative with them. Yeah, we didn't play the best. I mean, to be honest, at 3-0, I thought, even though we weren't great, I thought their heads would drop and we'd probably go and win 4 and 5. I think at 3-0 up, I think Aubameyang was probably favourite for the Golden Boot. And then we went on, obviously, conceded one, conceded another. And to be honest, in the end, probably lucky to get away with a win. But it's one of them games. I think if it was if you needed to win it to do something serious, get top 4 or whatever, I think we had a few more gears to go to. So it wasn't the best, it wasn't the most inspiring performance, but them end of season games very rarely are. And you've also got to remember, a lot of the players would have had in the back of their head, don't get injured, don't get sent off. I mean, I know when Granit got booked for the end of the first half, the amount of people I saw saying, sub him off at half time so he doesn't get suspended for next week. Whereas a few months ago, people have been saying, send him off. We don't want him next week.
Darren, your quick recap, mate. I know it's one of them games that are done and dusted, and the season, it is what it is. But still,
Bit
get your thoughts
disappointed
on it.
after that fabulous week where we beat the Premier League champions and Manchester City, made us. Liverpool won the World Club Championship, so we were obviously the best team in the world a week ago. And then, because that's how you do it, isn't it? If you beat the best team in the world, then you're the best team in the world. That's what we did at school anyway. So after that fabulous week, we then just get played off the park by two teams in the bottom four. A little bit disappointing, really. I know it's just very flat, but at least Troy Deeney went down, and that made my day.
Okay, 2019-2020 would have to go down for me as...
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
So anyway, what I was saying, I'll try it again. We head off to the US, Tony, and we have a certain captain who didn't want to attend. We signed a massive signing in Pepe as well. Things were looking really good, and then all of a sudden the wheels tended to drop off. I just was getting your thoughts on how keen were we at the start of the season, and then to what's happened now, I guess. But at what point?
I completely forgot about Koscielny not wanting to go to America. Like, as you were saying it, you said we had a certain captain. I was thinking, what's he on about? And then he said he was going to go on tour. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's over a year ago. And we're still, I mean, this season's obviously not finished because we've got the cup final, but over a year ago, and it was the start of pre-season. Obviously, we signed Pepe towards the end of that. Look, there was a lot of optimism, and we'll see when we go over our predictions next week that we were all looking forward and all excited. We thought we'd done some good business. Maybe expected more from everyone that we'd signed, to be honest. Looking back at it, like, you think Danny, we definitely, look, it's been very good since the break, but we definitely expected more goals and assists than we've got from him. Probably the same with Pepe. We expected more goals and assists. And I don't know, maybe Tierney's the only one we didn't expect more of in terms of ability, but maybe more game time because he's been injured. So we went into the season, obviously slightly after that US tour. I think it was August the 12th, our first game, something like that. And I think we went into the season really optimistic. Obviously, a lot of us, or many people, weren't Emery fans anyway, but we just we did finish 1 point off the top four. We got to the European final, and pretty much everyone would universally agree we had strengthened our squad. So it's like, oh, cool, we should be top four, challenging for a trophy. It's going to be a good year. And then now we're here.
Yeah, we're here, yeah. And that first game, and Darren, I'll go to you now. Quickly, I'll just introduce Addy. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, guys. Sorry about the timekeeping, I'd say.
Yeah, better late than never, mate. Fucking hell. Darren, look, I was, mate, International Cup, and I'd probably testing your brain a little bit. You've been a bit of an older bloke and all. Bayern Munich, we beat them 2-1 back in the International Champions Cup, and I thought, hello, here we go. I can't remember ever beating them. So
I think it was just a good transfer window and everything, wasn't it? Pepe came at the end of what we felt we'd already done some good business. It was real upbeat. We had Unai Emery as our manager. We were all excited about what he was going to do in his second season.
Yeah.
And that works out. But yeah, look, I've seen a lot of football, a lot of seasons. I'm always optimistic. Isn't that the football fan? The start of every season, we think it's going to be the one. But, this has been dismal all year long, hasn't it? I mean, it's just been, there's been no end of disappointment. Even since lockdown, I just looked at after lockdown table, and we're still like nowhere near the top four. We're eighth or something where we are. It's but next year.
There's always next year. Addy, we're just basically looking back at the season a little bit, mate, and I've introduced obviously the start of the season, how things went, and obviously Kashani not turning up in America, the wheels falling off mid-season. Unai Emery's sacked. Freddie comes in, and we all think, is he the next big manager? Is he going to take us? And he had a couple of okay results. We have to feel for Freddie a little bit, though, don't we?
Look, I think Freddie did a job where he came in and just like filled in that gap until they got in a like a replacement. But then I won't lie to you. Did Freddie do too much? Because I don't. His record wasn't great as well. Freddie when he came in, and usually you get
look,
that,
I feel for him though because of the staff that he had behind him at the time. Like Mertesacker gets promoted from the youth team to sit beside him on the bench, and it's like I'm probably throwing in the bloody tea lady, like. The poor bastard had nobody to fucking help him. He just went, there's a busted ass team, mate. Fucking do your best.
you know what? I'll give him that. But then, I think that the board as well they didn't have a clue. I think as well they were saying to Freddie, okay, Freddie, if you do well, then you never know. Whereas they should have said it to him at the start that cool, you're only in here for this amount of time until we get a manager sorted. That's from me, my point of view. I don't think they did that, and again that didn't help Freddie, and then that didn't help the team. From my point of view,
Tony, the one thing, and I know I'm going to get to a real positive soon with the FA Cup final, but it was a big kick in the guts, mate. Bound out of Europa League for me. I thought, and I know that was the end of Emery and that was the end of that whole chapter. But this season, probably that defined us a little bit of drop of who we are as a team in the world.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that defined us. It was piss poor, and we should do better. But I don't think people now view us as a last 32 Europa League team. And look, next season we might not even be in it, but we'll still be held as sort of to a higher standard than that, and it'll always be Arsenal could have won it if they were in it. But I don't think that defines us, and I'm not trying to paint it as a positive. It was terrible. You shouldn't be. I mean, it's one of them. It sounds weird. I'm going to say Olympiacos weren't the best of draws, but it shouldn't matter. Last 32 Europa League, it shouldn't matter who you draw. We've done the hard job. You've gone there away and won, and they don't lose many games at home. I think in the Champions League, I don't think they've lost in their group, or they maybe lost a last-minute winner to Bayern Munich, maybe at home. So then we've gone there and won, and I don't know if that maybe sort of turned it into a bad thing because we not down tools at home, but we thought the job was done, and we didn't turn up. I mean, obviously they beat us 2-1 on the night in extra time, 1-0 after normal time, but we just didn't turn up. We were piss poor all night. It wasn't like they parked the bus and we missed loads of chances and then they grabbed one. We were just terrible, and I don't know if they were mentally not there, which obviously isn't good enough. But yeah, I don't think that result defines us as poor as it was.
Yeah. I don't know. I was disappointed in that one. I thought like Europa League,
Of course I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought we had a chance of winning the thing, but as I said, I don't think like teams around the world are now thinking, oh, that's Arsenal standard. Like, if next year if we get in it and get to the last 16, people won't be going, oh, they've done well, they're better than what we thought they were. If we get in it again and go out in the last 16, people will still be thinking that's a load of shit, and it will be.
Darren Arteta comes in. He's appointed the new coach and the new manager / coach role. It was it's Arsenal have come out with the expression of coach, which is other teams have used. A few people were okay with it. A few people were saying he's inexperienced. Where's he going to take this club? Mate, and it's very hard, but the last 6 months, obviously we had COVID as well, and stop-start football has got to be hard for anybody, but you give him a pass? You think he's been in a good appointment?
I was one of those that just thought it was a very strange appointment. I mean, it's Arsenal Football Club. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We're a huge club, and to employ somebody who's never had the job before, it's just a bit of a strange appointment. I mean, I think I'm like most people. We're slightly pleased that he's tightened us up at the back. We look like the players look like they know what they're doing. He's an active coach on the sideline. There's lots of good things, and we're in the cup final. He's done okay, but we've also been played off the park by Aston Villa, by Watford. We lost at Brighton. These are all games recently where he's had a few months to work with these players, and yet we're not controlling a football game. We beat Liverpool and Manchester City, and I was all, what a great week for Arsenal Football Club. But Liverpool had nothing to play for and absolutely fucking battered us. And we caught Man City on an off day. It was. I'm always going to support our manager because I'm an Arsenal fan, and yes, of course, I'll give him a couple of transfer windows. Let's see what we can do. But I want to see some improvement in some players, and we've seen improvement in some. Some players are, Mustafi, Xhaka are much better than they were before he joined the club. But you could also people like Socrates, and there's players in our club who. Holding looks like he's scared to death to play football now. If Holding gets the ball now, I'm going to give it to David Luiz. And that's all he does now because he looks petrified of making a mistake. So where there's some good he's done, there's also some stuff that he's fallen out with Mesut Ozil, our most expensive player, and our club talisman. He's fallen out with Guendouzi. Now, I don't doubt that's Guendouzi's fault. I don't doubt that's Guendouzi's fault, but surely we want a manager who can manage players, not just ostracise them. So jury's out for me, but I'll support him for another year or so.
I'm just going to stick with you for a minute. You were really big on the Guendouzi. How are you? What's your thoughts around what's been happening lately?
Well, I mean, there's so little come out from the club, but it's obvious that Arteta he's had a couple of incidents now, not just here, but in two previous clubs. I still love him as a footballer, and I would just love a manager to take him. And actually, we all complained that he looked like he was a good player, but under Emery, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, running around like a headless chicken. Now he's got a manager who's got a system and everything, and yet he's fallen out with him. And just to stick him out in the reserves and basically cast him aside, to me, that's disappointing. He may be a very strong-headed individual, but surely when you look at some of the dross that we've got in that side, he was a breath of fresh air for me. Still love him as a player. Really, really, really disappointed that he turns out he's a bit of a twat, and really disappointed that Arteta hasn't got the best out of him.
Mm-hmm. Addy, I'm going to go to you, mate. Your same question as I said to Darren with Arteta, mate. You give him a pass so far?
Obviously, when he came in, again, for me, he was never my first choice. I was one of them ones that was calling for Mourinho, Ancelotti, Pochettino. I wouldn't have gone for Arteta as my first choice. But no, I said that.
Did you say Mourinho?
I said Mourinho. As much as I hate the guy, this is the thing. As much as I hate Mourinho, I think he would have made us defensively solid and made our team defend better. Because that's one criticism I've had. I love Arsene, but I would say once the real leaders left the team, we couldn't defend as a team. Like, we had a few good defenders, but yeah, again, as a team, we just did not know how to defend. And that's one thing I would have asked from any new manager. We needed to know how to defend as a team. And for me, if Mourinho was going to do that, then I would have taken Mourinho. But obviously, I would have preferred the Nagelsmans and all them guys. But we were never going to get them. Even the Ajax manager, I would have taken him, but we were never gonna get them. Like the options that we had, for me, Ancelotti, I felt he was the most experienced. I felt that he's come to England and won it, and won the Premier League. He playing good football as well. If you didn't want the Mourinho, you could have gone for Ancelotti. I felt as well Pochettino would have been again another manager in the Premier League. May not have won anything, but it would have been so good for a next Tottenham manager to come in, win something with Arsenal, and then it would just rub salt into Tottenham fans' face. That's how I would have seen it. Because to be fair, I think if he had a better squad, he would have achieved something with Tottenham. But obviously, Tottenham bottle stuff all the time and just make DVDs about them bottling stuff. But then we actually win cups at Arsenal. So I think when Arteta came in, I said, cool, I'll give him 6 months. I want to see him give the team a plan, give the team a structure under which we didn't have under Emery. Obviously, everyone knows I hated Emery. Like every week, chop and change, no structure, no plan, no identity. And Arteta has done that. Obviously, started off with the 4-2-3-1. He brought Ozil back in. For me, it looked really good. First 10 matches under Arteta, for me, looked really, really good. But then the decision making started to get a little bit iffy. Substitutions start to get a little bit iffy. And now this is where I start to question Arteta. But then again, I'm going to let him go into the new season. Let him get his the players that he wants, or maybe it might not be the players that he wants, but let the management team bring in players that might be more suited to his style of football, and then I'll judge him more fairly. But that's my take
cool.
with Arteta.
Very cool. As I was looking through this app, I found some sound effects. This could be fucking dangerous. It's a game changer, boys. Woo! Okay, you can stop now. Okay, Tony, your thoughts around Arteta, mate? Is it a pass for you, or is it how do you take on the last 6 months under Arteta?
I said at the start, the season was pretty much done, and it was an audition. When we done our COVID podcast, I said the season was pretty much done, and it was an audition, or not an audition, a learning phase. And I don't really think anything changed my mind. I'm happy with what I've seen. Formations did start to chop and change a bit at the end. Substitutions got a bit stranger, and he started playing players that weren't getting minutes early on. But we've got to find out. Sometimes a player can look great in training and not in games, and vice versa. And by all accounts, anyone that was at Arsenal at the time says they always used to think Mark Overmars had a twin brother. One came to training Monday to Friday and was the worst player you've ever seen, and the other played on Saturday and was world class. So sometimes you've just got to chuck these players in. And how would you ever know? I mean, you can maybe praise Emery more for this, but how did anyone know Saka could play until they throw him in, especially at left back? He's trying things. Look, if he's winning games, I won't really care. But if he's still sort of doing some of this stuff a few weeks into next season, then yeah, you can maybe raise an eyebrow. But at the moment, he's settled on a shape for now, I believe, in a back five. He's had to chop and change players because of injuries. I mean, he has been very unfortunate with injuries as well, but that's part of the job. But for me, I don't think there would have been too much. I mean, look, unless he went ridiculous, I don't think there would have been too much that would have made me have said, fail, get rid of him. Is there positive signs? Yes, for me. Look, and to be honest, I wanted him at the time because Addy mentioned Mourinho, but he was gone before. I mean, he had a job before Emery was sacked. So Emery getting sacked, I was anyone but Emery. I've said on here many times I'd have taken my nan, and she's never watched a game of football. But once the points Emery's actually been sacked, you can't say Mourinho because he's already in a job. Ancelotti was basically on a job. He got hired before Arteta did. Then where do you look?
But Tony, remember before Ancelotti went, because Ancelotti was still at Napoli before he went to Everton. Lundberg had what, 4 or 5 matches.
That Ancelotti deal was done really early because the Napoli messed up.
There was a fuck up.
At the same time, it wasn't like he became available and the deal was done in the day. He was Everton manager for a while. I think they were waiting to give him as close to the January window as possible to make it look like him. If you remember, we played then. It was about the 22nd of December. I can't remember. It was the last game before Christmas, and he was in the stand. He'd already been appointed. He actually got officially appointed that morning. So then he took the Boxing Day game and then got the January window. But that deal was done for a while. So I think once Emery left, my first choice would have been Pochettino. I think I made that clear at the time. It was quite quickly that was not possible. He wouldn't do it. He obviously got a large compensation package from Tottenham. He's still rejecting jobs now. He rejected Monaco last week. Is it because of the money? Is it because he doesn't want to manage Monaco? Monaco obviously will never know. But from then you ruled out Ancelotti, you ruled out Pochettino, and then you're looking at basically you're going to give a chance to whoever it is, whether it be an Eddie Howe, which some people are calling for, whether it's been an Arteta. And personally, I'm not just saying that because Eddie Howe's now gone down. I said at the time I would have preferred Arteta because with Eddie Howe, you kind of know what you're going to get. I don't think Eddie Howe has that ceiling to be
no.
World Cup. And with Arteta, we never know. And maybe he still doesn't. I believe he does. But you're taking that chance. And that's what it was. And I think at the time we actually appointed him, it was, I don't want to say a no-brainer because obviously he had never managed, but you're going to take a chance on whoever you get in. Bear in mind, we also didn't really want to pay a release for any manager, so you're looking at your Ten Hags and Nagels.
Do you think that we've made the right decision? And obviously, I like Arteta and like what I'm seeing, but at the time, if you remember, there was Vieira, Henry. Knowing now what you know, have we made that right decision out of them 3? I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near the other 2. And look, Omri. And I'm saying this, and I've said it a couple of years ago, and I've argued with everyone online. Omri is a business partner of one of my friends. He has never, ever, ever, ever been interviewed or even approached at all for a role at Arsenal, barring the coaching role he had with like the under-16s or whatever it was before he joined Sky. Since then, because Arsenal wanted to keep him on, and he chose Sky. Maybe because it was more money, maybe because it was more exposure, no one knows. But since then, and he said himself to my friend, he has never, ever been approached. Vieira's been in Man City's pocket for absolutely years. But I don't think any of them 2 were options. The only question I would have, I mean, out of the 3 you've mentioned, it would have been Arteta all day long for me. The only question I would have is, for me, Emery should have been sacked, and I said it so many times on here, should have been sacked on November the 9th, which was the day we played Leicester away, because we had a 2-week international break, and we had on paper 2 easy fixtures to come back to. What would have been interesting is, would Arteta have got the job if we sacked him then, which is when I believe we should have done? And I think probably not, because that brings into the market your Mourinho's, your Ancelotti, and probably a couple of others.
Luis Enrique.
I remember at the time there was a few people.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
So that would have been more interesting. I think if we'd done it then, Arteta probably doesn't get the job. But I think at the time it was done, it was, as I said, I don't want to say a no-brainer because you can't with a novice manager, but it was as close to a no-brainer as you're going to get with a novice. If you looked at who's available, you're going to be taking a chance on someone, and why not take it on the guy who obviously has links to the club and is also widely regarded, highly regarded at City, highly regarded by our staff and our players, rather than and could potentially have a high ceiling rather than the guy who. So you look at Eddie Howe, and I'm not saying he's ever a candidate, Sean Dyche, and that's the sort of level you're looking at otherwise. So for me, I would rather take the chance on Arteta.
What are you expecting? I don't know. This is very hard unless you've got a crystal ball, but that's why I'll stick with you, Tony. What? Obviously, we're coming into a transfer. Well, we're in the transfer window, and well, it's not long until the new season starts. So, what are we expecting this window? Like, obviously, and don't get me wrong, the whole fucking team needs looking at, but realistically, you're not going to replace the whole team. You know, you need 1, 2, maybe 3 good signings. And at what point, you know, and let's say Arteta hypothetically in this crystal ball comes out next season, we lose the first 3 games after spending 100 million. Yeah, so two questions, I suppose. What are you expecting out of this window? And yeah, what do you expect? Yeah, what and how long do you actually give him next season?
What am I expecting? It's a really hard question to answer, and we kind of skirted around this in the last 2 weeks because we don't know how he wants to play. I think most people presume he wants to play 4-3-3, and I do as well. But at the moment, we're so clearly better as a back five, and our players are probably a bit more suited to it on the whole. There's a couple that aren't. So how can I say what I expect when do I go for players that fit into a 4-3-3, or do I go that fit into a 5, or do I go to players that could potentially do both but aren't specialists at any? For me, I want specialist players. I don't want square pegs in round holes. So what I expect is near on impossible to say. Certain things, look, I think we need a centre back. I don't think it really matters what formation we play. I think we need a left-sided centre back. I would really hope Ainsley stays. I think we need at least 1 midfielder, but that's if we go to a 4-3-3. If we play a 2 and we keep Danny, which it looks like we want to, I said this last week on here. I can't see us keeping Danny to put him on the bench. Granit ain't going anywhere. So, if you're playing a 5 with a 2 in the middle, do you then need a centre midfielder, or do you just sign someone for depth? Do we have the funds available to sign someone just for depth? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know it's tough, but then going into next year, you know, you lose the first 3 games, and I'm touching wood, I'm cuddling a fucking tree, but like you lose the first, let's say 3 or 4 games. Do you think, oh fuck?
It all depends on circumstance. Look, if we draw our first 3 games as City, Liverpool, and a Man United team that have just spent 200 million, and you lose them all, and you lose them all very narrowly, and you're competitive, a bit like Emery did. Emery's first 2 games, we lost to City. Okay, we was a bit embarrassed. We was nowhere near their level, and then we lost away to Chelsea, who we should have won. We lost 3-2 and missed boatloads.
Bamian misses sitter. Victoria misses sitter. Yeah.
Yeah, like so. At that point, we've lost our first 2 games, and no one was worried. So it all depends. Look, if we go in our first 3 games and get battered by who's just come up, Leeds. Like, do you know what I mean? If you go away to Leeds and lose 4-0, and then you go to West Brom, come to the Emirates and do you 3-0. Okay, yeah, there's no problem.
Then the problems are, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's not a
passion. Yeah. Darren, and I'll get your view as well, Addy. But Darren, you're sitting there pretty quiet, and but what are you taking out of all this, mate? With thoughts on looking forward at next season?
It was fucking 20 to 1 in the fucking morning. I was asleep. I think we're going to see, to answer your question, I think we're going to see a clear out of players that he's decided aren't good enough. You know, he's been fairly clear that there's certain players he doesn't want there. Ozil, Guendouzi, Socrates, I would even say Holding. There's players that have not really made hardly his squad. He said at the start when he came in that everyone had it was a blank page for everyone, clean start. And we saw that with players like Mustafi and Xhaka. But he's obviously already made his mind up on something. So I think we're going to have a big clear out. As to what's coming in, and if we lose those first 3 games, of course we've got to give him the season. We've got to let him we've got a really short pre-season. What's it going to start again on September the 12th? We're 6 weeks away, He hasn't got the time, he's had a fucking COVID when you can't get the players to train together. We've had 2 games a week, so it's just recovery play. So, I think at least we've got to give him the whole of next season to try and work some magic and try and improve some of these players. and give him the 2 transfer windows, the one that started now and the one in at Christmas. And then it's a more relevant conversation for me this time next year.
Okay. Addy, you much the same as what Darren said?
Yeah, much the same. Obviously, you give him time. Just picking up on something that Tony said, I think we're gonna go to 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. I think he'll switch that. I think he wants to play a 4 at the back, but he has to play a 5.
Addy, I think that as well, but I just don't want to make predictions based on that. But I think most people.
I feel it's only because we cannot defend as a 4, which is why he's gone to a 5 at the back. I think he'll definitely go to a 4, whether it's a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But again, those are variants of each other anyway. That's what I think he'll go for. Again, touching on the players that I think he wants to get rid of players, but Ozil's agent has already come out and said that he's not going anywhere. So all the news or all the noise that's saying he's going to Fenerbahce, he's not. Ozil's still going to be here next season. But
Can I just jump in there as well on that, Tez? I see Tony and Addy both say that they think he likes this system, that system. The thing that struck me with Arteta is he's a tactical manager and he makes changes game by game and in game. I mean, against Villa, we ended up playing with, 5 attacking players, and I thought, blimey, with a couple of really decent midfielders in there, breaking this open, this could be the way he wants to play. It's almost like an old-fashioned, 3-2-5. It was something, and it didn't work at all because we couldn't break anyone down. But when you looked at those players, Adebayor, Lacazette, Pepe, Xhaka, I can't remember, it was on Tierney, was on the left. It looked to me like this is the way he wants to play.
I was going to say, I thought I heard an Adebayor in there.
Yeah, you just called Aubameyang Adebayor.
I call Aubameyang Adebayor all the time, okay? But and he's a cunt. So with those, but he had 5 up front. I just thought that was maybe the way he wants to play. When we look at the way Manchester City play, maybe that's what he's thinking. He just hasn't got David Silva, he hasn't got Sterling, he hasn't got, who should I pick? A Manchester City player who hasn't played for years. Aubameyang. No, Adebayor.
Okay. FA Cup final, boys. We're coming. Obviously, we're there.
That's
we're
time
there.
for a sound effect. Come on, that's got to be worth a sound effect.
You've got fireworks as well.
Okay, so fucking come on, get over with it. They're a bit long, aren't they? Okay, so we're into an FA Cup final. Fuck me, I'd never seen this coming. And if we can win this thing, like a lot of people are saying, forget about it. They're not even going to watch the game, and we're going to get smashed. Ass kick. You know what? Go out the back and give yourself an uppercut, because if you don't follow this fucking team and you don't follow them for the FA Cup final, then don't follow them next season, the season after, and fuck off to Manchester City, because you're a waste of fucking space. So get up, watch the fucking game. We're in an FA Cup final and fucking bringing that shit on, boys. I'm happy we're in the final, but I think we'll win it. I think we'll win it 3-2.
Well, I hope you're right. I mean, I think the 2 best performances since lockdown for me were Sheffield United away and Man City, in the FA Cup. I thought they were the 2 real professional, well thought out, well planned games, and that's all I can hope. He's got Chelsea's number, because if you remember, we met him in the Europa League final not that long ago, and they destroyed us, and that was Unai Emery, and that was the players not being up for it. And then, of course, in the FA Cup final, what was it, 2017, probably one of the best Arsenal performances of all time. Underdogs, they just won the Premier League, and we stuff them. So it's our turn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, you boys. Is it crowds? Are they letting crowds there at Wembley or not?
No.
No. Still definitely not. Okay.
I think they said you're not going to see crowds until October.
Yeah, I read a report
That sucks.
today that said there probably won't be full crowds the whole of the season. A government report. They're not expecting. They will start to try and bring them in October, but with second waves of this illness happening in Spain and potentially in France, I can't see it happening. Pity.
No.
Yeah, we're a bit the same here now. Fuckers down there in Melbourne, just sort your shit out. Fair dinkum. I just want to touch on this quickly because I wrote it down and I thought, fucking hell, dickhead, I forgot to mention it when I was doing the recap thing. We are the only Premier League club, Tony, to do the wage reduction around this coronavirus. The only fucking club.
I don't think that's true.
You
I
don't?
think, no. So
Well, that's how it was reported.
Yeah.
I know at the time other teams done it in various ways. So there was deferrals. We may be the only one that's done a complete cut, but I know it was reported at the time it was conditional and blah blah blah. So I don't know. I know other teams. It's funny because at the time you heard loads of reports saying, "Oh, look how amazing this club are! They've reduced this, they've done that. These players are willing to give this away." And then now suddenly it's, "Oh, no one else done it. Look at Arsenal, they can't afford their players." But people were definitely getting praised 2 months ago for how much their players were willing to give. So,
isn't there two ways of looking at this, Tony? I mean, these players are on huge wages and therefore in a 50% tax bracket. So by cutting their wages, there's less money going to the NHS. That was the sort of story, that was the other.
This is my argument with the Ozil thing. He's actually giving the country more money by not taking, unless he's got offshore, which no one will ever know. He's actually giving back more by not taking a wage cut.
Yeah, but what I was going to say, the second part of it is that, but by taking a wage cut, I mean, what did Spurs look like and Newcastle look like? They look like complete cunts by trying to put all their employees on furlough, getting the government to pay their wages when they're a fucking multi-million-dollar football club with players earning £20 million, £10 million a year. It was a ridiculous situation. Arsenal, what they've done is they've just restructured, wasn't it, a 10-15% cut, and that would pay for the rest of the staff because that's 700 employees. You could just cut Ozil's wages, and that would pay for the rest of the staff, I'm sure. So there's two ways to look at it. So I can understand why other clubs didn't do it, and I can understand why we did, and I'm glad we did. I thought it was a good move. And Spurs borrowed 100 million, or was it 175 million off the government, interest free. Ridiculous. That their stadium's been funded by Harrogate Council.
I agree totally with you. They're a bunch of cunts for doing that, for taking that. But I don't know how your government structures things and what handouts they do. But if it's there to take, people are going to take it and they're going to try and get what they can.
Do you know what, Tez, you're absolutely right. Now, I've got a mate who hardly does a day's fucking work in his life, and he's applied for a grant and got some money because he knows how to play the system. Yeah, and he's got a grant for his business that he's going to go at the end of his business. He's told me already, I'm going to fold it and keep, never have to pay that money back. Now, hopefully, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club will fold in 3 months' time. That'd be lovely. But I just think that. I just think it's people who are taking the piss. Spurs have been helped out so much by this government. The stadium's mainly funded by Harrogate Council. The Mayor of London at the time approved. Everything. They've walked through this without having to put a fucking penny in almost, and then they borrow more money. I hate fucking Mourinho.
Oh look, and look. At the end of the day, and this is what I often think is, okay, look, footballers, they are human at the end of the day. I would hate for my boss to come and say to me, hey, you got to take a 12.5% decrease in your wages because little Sally over there who answers the phones, we can't afford to pay her. Yes, okay, I might be on 500 a week. Obviously, these guys are on fucking hundreds of thousands, but I don't know if that justifies them being the good Samaritan for doing that, or Tottenham. I know I'm going to get fucking crucified, but are Tottenham being the cunts for not exploiting the system, just doing what they're entitled to do?
The proof for me will be, Ted, what Spurs spend in the transfer market this year, this summer, because they went on record at the time saying this isn't to buy players. Well, what the fuck is it for then? You know? Do you know what is it?
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying there. Yeah. It's an interesting one, but like I read the report, Tony, as Arsenal were the only team, but maybe they weren't, mate. I don't know. But that's just the way I read the report. So.
No, as I said, I remember at the time it definitely being reported, look how great these players are, they did an X, Y, and Z. And I remember at the time it being a bit weird or different the way Arsenal done it. I can't remember if it was a defer or there was something a bit different about how Arsenal done it. But as I said, I mean, I don't see it as a negative because it was an option. I will be very disappointed if the fallout with Ozil is to do with it, because you can't give someone an option and basically say, but if you don't choose the one we want, then we're going to fuck you off. So whatever the issue is with Ozil, I hope it isn't that. Not that it overly matters, but I just think we sort of pride our club on a bit of class and whatnot. And yeah, so if it's like, here's your option, but if you don't take this one, we're going to fuck you off. It's also a bit annoying that his name was leaked because apparently the initial story was 2. It's now been revised to 3 people rejected it, and no one has a clue who the other 2 players are, or the other 1 player is. But it's been apparently the reason Ozil's been ostracised and left out. So that's poor from Arsenal anyway, because it only could have been leaked from inside the club.
Ted, can I ask Tez a question? Tez, your make-believe company where you're the superstar earning all the money and little Sally is skint, yeah? Yeah. If there's little Sally, and there's lots of little Sallys, there's 600 or 700 little Sallys, and Tez is earning more than all of them put together, wouldn't you like little Sally's brother or little Sally's boyfriend to go and kick the fuck out of Tez and tell him to stop fucking earning 400 grand and sitting in the fucking reserves, fuck off to another club, fuck off to another country, you're wasting our fucking time and money? And that's what I wish would happen at Arsenal Football Club. Somebody should take him aside and give him a fucking good idea.
Mate, look, I totally see your point. I'm a nice bloke, so I'll give Sally my 50% on my heaps of little Sally. Because I'm just a fucking nice bloke.
No, but Tez, you're not working. You're actually sitting at home. You've gone on holiday. You're not working. They've never seen you in the fucking office. You're on a little island in the fucking Maldives, fucking drinking pina coladas, because all the other cunts are working, fucking trudging through the snow to get to work every fucking week, while you're sitting on the beach getting pissed. You know, somebody really, really needs to sort that situation out, because we're paying that man £20 million a year to do fuck all. £20 million a year.
I'll give you just a quick example of what happens here, and this is how pissed off this gets me, and it's probably similar to over there. So we have a thing that's called it's Centrelink. You know, the government gives you payout, gives you a handout, and they might give you $400 a week or a fortnight to sit on your ass at home and play with your fucking dick, you know. Basically, them people have never worked a day. No, but hear me out. Them people have never worked a day in their life. Never worked a day in their fucking life, right? I know these people. Sit around smoking drugs, doing whatever, drinking their beers, smoking their cigarettes. Never worked a fucking day in their lives. But them same fucking people, because of COVID, now get an extra $750 in their fucking pay a fortnight for doing fucking nothing. And so now all of a sudden, little Johnny, who's fucking kicking high, he's now on $1,200 a fortnight. So but that's not his fault. And that's what I'm getting at. That's even though that pisses me off, that's not his fault that the government fucked it up. So that's where I'm getting at. Maybe over there the government has fucked it up for these clubs to actually take what's on the table. Yeah.
I've spoken too much on it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Tash has asked in the chat, would the government been happy to give every PL club the same loan? That would be an awful lot of money to dish out. I presume it would be. But I don't know. It's hard for me, Tony. I don't know your bloody laws and shit, but I see that you have replied to it.
But because people aren't going to be able to see this, I've replied saying I'm not sure how it was arranged, but everyone would have been stupid not to take it if it was offered. They got 100 million with 0.5% interest rate. To be honest, not that I would, because obviously I'm not dealing with them numbers in everyday life. No one is, but I'd never heard of this scheme, how it came about until Tottenham had agreed it and it was in the national press. So I have no idea how it came about. If it was if it was a way they exploited something, if it was ever offered to everyone, I don't know. Like I've literally never heard of it in any other circumstance. So,
Well, let's face it, Levy is a fucking genius at that shit. Like, he's a cunt, but he's a smart cunt.
Yeah, I mean,
So he's probably fucking checked something
the
out.
only thing I can think of, and this is me like sort of thinking out loud, I haven't got a clue, is
Yeah.
it was something to do with tourism, because Tottenham had like 3 or 4 NFL games booked. They had an Anthony Joshua fight booked. They probably had a few other events that are not as big as them, but still quite high-profile events that would get 20 to 30,000 probably foreign sports fans in, or people watching different sports. And I don't know if it was a sort of like a tourism bailout. I could be talking absolute shite, but they're the only ground in England at the moment, bar in Wembley, that is a venue for other sports. And as I said, I know Tottenham definitely had they had AJ Pulev, but the stadium was built in cooperation with the NFL basically to host however many games, which they did in November. I think they hosted 2, but then they would have missed the cycle this time around. So that's the only reason I can think of why it'd be offered to them and no one else. But
Yeah.
even saying it doesn't really make sense. It's the only thing I can think of.
Mm-hmm. No, this could go on forever, because at the end of the day, it's a shit system, and this is all a massive learning curve, I guess, for governments, and they're probably thinking themselves now, like, fucking hell, how'd that fucking club, they're paying these players a shitload of money, and yet we put these things in place for people who are struggling, but yet these fuckers are exploiting the system, but there's fuck all we can do about it. So, well, there probably is something they can do about it. I just didn't think. I'm going to get into some questions, but just touching the live chat, and you can download the Podbean app, because we're doing the podcast live now, so you can call Tony a cunt live, which is awesome. Some bloke has said he's touched on our Arteta. He said Arteta will be sacked next season. Oh, okay. So I don't think he will be, but anyway. Got some other questions coming through on Twitter at @clockn_talk, and you can get your questions in. We usually throw a question thread up there. FPL Canada, I was in your fantasy league this year, mate, but I bowed out after I nearly died, so I couldn't get back on it, so I have no idea how I finished, but I'm sure you'll tell me. He says we have no idea of who's staying or who's leaving, but regardless, what's the minimum acceptable final league position at the end of next season, Darren?
Top 4.
Top 4 for you. Addy?
Same, top 4.
Tony?
Arsenal on September the 11th.
I'm going to go with top 4 now. We got to get up, boys. We can't. We've been sliding down this fucking ladder for 2 seasons. It's time we turn this shit around. MAA Gunner, would you still go in for Zaha after Roy's comments and reports? We want a winger. Addy, because I haven't seen Roy's comments at all. So I seen he was in for Manchester United.
It's basically saying that he's going to leave this summer, Zaha.
Okay.
I will not lie to you. I will go for him. I would actually go for him, and I would be excited. This is the thing. His output is poor. For someone that's been in the Premier League for, he got 4 goals, 5 assists this year?
He had a shocking year, didn't he?
Yeah. but the guy generates fouls and he gets penalties. That is one thing we can guarantee. He gets penalties, and he got one against us this season at the Emirates. And one thing I think it's proven that Arsenal received the least penalties in the league. So to be fair, if we can get a player of that caliber, the only problem is, are we going to spend 40 million? Because I can't see him coming any cheaper than 40 million.
You think 40 million would get him?
Yeah,
Well, Tony, I was just going to say that. Crystal Palace fucking, holding out for 80 million last year. Who knew what the world was going to turn into? I think now, he's got, I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, but they were holding out for 80 million and we made a bid of 40. I think they're going to be lucky after his season he's had. I think 40 looks a lot more realistic, doesn't it? I've always loved him. I've always loved him as a player, but it seems strange that we're talking about buying him now when we've got Saka, Nelson, Pepe. It seems like it's not the weakest position. But yes, I would still take him. I think with better players around him, he would be a superstar.
Well, I'll give you, and I always go to this transfermarket.com. They are valuing him at 44. With a drop from 55 last season. So, and I don't know whether they're right, but that's just the rough idea.
70 for him last summer, so it wasn't 55.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't know what it's based on, but it is pretty much bullshit. They're complete basis. Like, you get the actual value, and like say Iwobi, the day after he's not worth £30 million, but the day after we sold him for £30 million, logic would tell you he's worth £30 million. I can guarantee you wouldn't have been on transfer market. It's just it's got an algorithm, and they're going to value their players based on it.
Based on that, yeah.
On Zaha,
well, it gives you a rough idea, though, Tone. It gives you the say that it has dropped.
Well, yeah, everyone knows it's dropped.
We know that, yeah, I know.
Does it give you a rough idea? Because if they were asking 80 million last season, look, everyone is worth what someone is willing to pay for them and what someone else is willing to sell them for. They're the only two factors that really matter. So
but when you're selling a house, they put a guide price on, don't they? I mean, you're right. People.
I'm selling my house at the moment. I put the guide price.
How much you got?
Transfer market have got no link to Crystal Palace or to any other football club, are they? They're making a judgment based on stats and things.
Yeah, it's an algorithm-based thing, but it doesn't matter because someone is only worth what someone is willing to buy and what someone is willing to sell. As I said, they had him at 55 million last year. Palace said 80, so they're 28% out.
Well, no, because he didn't sell for 80, so maybe they were right.
No, but that's what I'm saying. He's only worth what they are willing to sell him for. Their value could be completely right, but it also doesn't matter one bit because if Palace aren't willing to sell him for the 44 that transfer market says, he's not worth that. And to be honest, if I was Palace, I wouldn't be selling him for 40 because with him in the team, he's going to stay up. Basically, he's had a shocking year. It's hard for him as well. I mean, Addy said about his output, but it'd be better elsewhere just because he gets triple marked at Palace. I know AU got the goals this year, but Zaha's the one you have to worry about. And AU got the goals because Zaha had 3 players around him all the time. I think his numbers would be so much better elsewhere. Or if he got doubled up on or tripled up on at a better team, then you've got, if it was us, then you've got Pepe, who's no longer getting doubled and tripled up on. Aubameyang that gets that much more space because one of the centre-backs is pulled out. Or a centre midfielder gets more space because one of them drifted out wide to double up on him. So I think his numbers would be a lot better elsewhere. I agree with what Darren said. I find it really weird that Arteta said we're looking at a winger because he seems to love playing Aubameyang out wide. If he is going to move in central if Aubameyang goes, you kind of look at it and go, well, he's always said he wants Martinelli as a left winger. He's got, I know he's out at the end of the year. He's got Saka. On the right side, you don't think anyone's going to come in above Pepe. Maybe we need a second choice for him, but Reece Nelson's probably got that role next season. So,
it's funny though, Tony. You just brought something up there that makes a point. Saka, he was superb at left back, and we all loved him, and we were desperate for him to sign a new contract, and he did, and we're all happy, and he's a great young kid, great for the future. Hugely disappointing in the last 2 months. He's been in and out the side. He hasn't performed. Maybe that's what Arteta's looking at. He is actually an 18-year-old kid that's going to be up and down in his form. Let's get somebody good, and maybe he wants to play with that five up front, you know, with Adebayor and his mates.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that there's so many areas that are more vital, but Arteta's come out and said it, and I think that if we are going to look at a left winger, he's depending on what money you're looking to spend. I don't think we're going to attract much better or much more suited to us, and also someone that clearly wants to play with us. He's flirted for us every summer since he's pretty much been a footballer, apart from the one when he left Man United because he realised he dropped down a couple of levels. But yeah, I would want him. He said that the price would scare me because I don't know what price I'd be willing to pay, and it depends what we've got to spend in other areas.
Sorry, just to jump in. I think they'll if they do go for him and they do bid 40, 50, whatever it is. I think they'll try and structure it in a way that they did with Pepe, and then again over a couple of years, as opposed to the majority of the payment this year. At the same time as well, I think with Arteta, the majority of the goals came from Aubameyang. Obviously, he was playing out or in left wing, but then one of our issues was goals from our midfield and wide area. Pepe got five in the league, 5 or 6 in the league. Not too sure, but then
West Ham, Newcastle, Man United, Villa, Brighton. I'm missing one.
Addy, you said about restructuring the deal. Isn't that something that we've got? It's Crystal Palace, so it's not somebody we're from overseas. So surely there's half a dozen players within our ranks that we could offer as part exchange as well. There's 3 or 4 players that would improve. That it would improve Crystal Palace. You know,
Guendouzi.
Well, do you know what?
I think it's too valuable for. I don't potentially because from they're saying that they've offered him to Atletico, they've offered him to Barcelona. So to be fair, they actually could offer him to Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace.
Yeah, but hole in his arse, he will not play for Crystal Palace. Like,
that is the only thing.
These situations, but it's not going to happen.
I didn't say Guendouzi. I was thinking about more like players like Rob Holding, Callum Chambers, Socrates, people who are on the fringe that have got, you know, that we want to shift off of the playing staff. There's also some kids, Nelson, Smith Rowe, that we could offer as loan deals because it's Crystal Palace. So, you know, there's I'm sure there's some potential to do a deal, you know, to give some of these youngsters first team football.
I get where you're coming from, Darren, but I think the landscape's changed a bit, mate. I don't know if these Crystal Palaces and that, and, you know, you look at Leicester City, West Ham, and they're not the teams that they were all them years ago. They're all of a sudden, they're at the dinner table with the Arsenal. And you know, you could say Manchester United and that. It's not the dominant 90s like it was, so... I don't know if Crystal Palace
I read this week
need
that
it.
Crystal Palace have got one of the oldest squads in the Premier League, and they've also since lockdown there was only one team worse off in the form table since we come back. So they desperately need to rebuild. They need to do something. So if they're going to sell their main asset, they're going to either do what? Get some money in, and it's reduced from what they wanted, or they're going to have to structure a deal with someone and get some players in. I just think that's our strength at the moment. We've got a lot of players that could improve Crystal Palace that aren't good enough to get us in the top 4.
True. They've signed Ferguson from West Brom already. I was speaking to I know a guy that he's West Ham in the know, but he's ex-West Ham employee. He never gets anything wrong ever on West Ham. And he reckons that they've basically beaten them for the signing of Eze. They've already agreed with Eze. Other clubs are still trying to. So it looks like Palace are spending their money on younger players, like Darren said, because they're quite old. But I can't see them expecting anything to pass the Zaha. I really can't. The deal with the issue with like a financing deal, like Addy said, there's 2 ways of doing it. One, you've got to agree it with the club. Palace are never ever going to agree to that. They need the money now. Then you go to the finance company and potentially pay interest on it. How much further debt do the club want against them in order just to be able to bolster other signings, who knows? I mean, by all accounts, he's just paid off a load of debt. Is he going to do that and then replace it with more debt? Yeah, probably not, but who knows? No one knows what he's thinking. You got to think as well, there'll be a few things in for him at that sort of money. So, although I'd imagine he wants to come to us out of them teams, you've got to think of Palace are not obligated to accept. They only have to accept the best deal, or they don't have to accept any deal. So, if Arsenal were offering 50 million over $1 million transfer windows, or 10 million plus players that they think, yeah, they're okay, but we don't really want them. They're not the players we'd be going out and buying. And then a Leicester come in and go, oh, we need a bigger squad. We've got Chilwell money coming in. We want him for 60 million. Or Everton, who's wanted him for 70 million last summer. If they come in with 60 million offers, I just can't see Arsenal competing with that. And it might not be exactly what Zaha wants, but it's football. You don't always get to go to the club you want. And I think you just want that to go to a better club. And it's certain that Everton will spend money and Leicester are a better club than Palace. So.
Okay, continue on with these questions. Hakon Larson, he says, against Chelsea, should we try and play possessional-based or sitting deeper in the counter, Tony?
I didn't speak about the FA Cup when you spoke about it earlier. I think this is the most pessimistic I've been in the game for pretty much as long as I can remember. I think stylistically Chelsea are horrible for us at the moment. I think I said last week, I think people are getting too carried away from themselves. Look, I think the way we've done well against the better teams, especially in recent weeks, is play over back five, leave the space wide, rely on not getting beat one-on-one and let teams throw crosses into the box and then not be in the best areas. The issue is Giroud is probably better in the air than any of us.
I was just about to say that. We're
missing Mustafi, who's arguably our best centre back in the air. Also, then Pulisic out wide is a bit different to the type of players we've been playing because he can beat you both sides. And okay, you can stop him, but then they can still chuck balls into the box. I think style-wise, it's a horrible game. Keep ball, maybe the best form of way of playing. But then we've struggled with creativity when we're playing keep ball. A lot of our goals, especially against better teams, have been pouncing on mistakes or counter-attacks. Which, if you're playing keep ball, then opportunities don't really seem to come. I don't envy Arteta because I really, I go into games and I think I know best all the time, as everyone that listens will know. And usually I would say,
I'll just shut up.
Yeah, every game we play, and most of us do it. You can laugh at me, but we'll go into think, I think we should do this, and this is how we win it. We tactically go A, B, C. This is how we do it. And I'm looking at this game ahead and thinking,
it is tough going. Yeah, it's tough.
Like, do you know what I mean? City, it's a harder game to win, but you know exactly how we've got to play because it's
Tony. I don't think any of us thought we were going to beat City and Liverpool to start with. No, and if you did, you're fucking lying, can't you?
Well, no, not Liverpool, but City, yeah, because of the FA Cup. That's the only reason why. Only because of the FA Cup and how we've maybe not finals, but semi-finals. We've always played good against City for some reason.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I don't know what to expect for this Chelsea game. Someone's mic's fucked, they can shove it up their ass. But I don't know what to expect from this Chelsea game. But all I do know is I've seen people complaining about they're not getting up to watch Arsenal, and that pisses me big time. You get up at 2 o'clock in the morning if you have to, because we've been fucking doing it for years over here, so...
It's nearly fucking 2 o'clock in the morning now.
Watch the fucking game.
I'm fucking up to do a fucking podcast. Fucking hell.
Hey, this goes out to thousands of listeners around the world, mate. You're in the entertainment business, brother. Yeah. Okay, I will move on quickly because it is late over there for you boys. But I did have a quick look. MAA Gunner, would you... Hakon Larson, what 3 players from relegation sides would you sign? 1 from each club. Bournemouth, Watford or Norwich. Watford was the hardest one for me, boys. I know this is a question that nobody's looked at apart from me.
No.
Because I'm like Ben Foster. Somebody else asked in this chat. Well, I don't know. For a second, if someone doesn't fix that fucking mic, I'm going to jump through this phone. I was thinking a second string keeper, Addy.
No. I think keeper position is sorted for Arsenal. I don't think the keeper from Watford. I would bring in Ismail Assar.
Yep,
I think
that was the other one that I was looking at.
Yeah, he'll be a cheaper version of Zaha. I think whoever picks him up from Watford will similar to Wijnaldum, Liverpool Wijnaldum. I think we should just be looking at Ismail Assar, put in a 15 million bid and grab him now.
I've always liked Gray as well.
And he doesn't score enough goals. That's my only issue with him. He doesn't score enough goals. Like, I think the only other person from Watford was Decore, just as a big central midfielder that can cover a lot of ground. Like, that's the only other person I would take him. But Ismail Assar, whoever picks him up this summer, because he's not staying at Watford, they will have a good young player. Bournemouth, initially, obviously everyone would have said Fraser, but he's released now, so I'm not even sure where he's going to go.
Yeah.
Only other player I'll take there is Ake as a centre back.
Yep.
And who else? Norwich.
Norwich.
With me, I would have taken Bundia. Was it Bundia?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only. Or Aaron.
What about? Wasn't that bloody? How old is he now? Pookie?
Nah. He's too old.
No good.
He's.
Fuck me, you never fucking don't like Lacazette. Now you want to fucking sign Pookie? Fucking hell.
No, well,
fucking nonsense.
I'm literally playing devil's advocate and throwing names. That's all. I know what he's like, but I'm literally look. Someone's got to do it, and that's my job.
Well, you're making me pukey.
While I'm still with Addy, Tim Krul. He was the other keeper from Norwich.
Our best fucking player of the year is fucking probably our goalkeeper. The goalkeeper who's taken over from him is the fucking goalkeeper of the fucking year. And now you want to sign a fucking shit goalkeeper? Fucking hell, I know it's
unless it's like for a penalty shootout.
Shut up, yeah.
Unless we're going to sign him for a penalty shootout, then yeah. But other than that, I don't see him. I think we've got two of the top 10 goalkeepers in the league.
Okay, what about you, Tony? You in agreement with all that? I can't hear what you're saying.
I think it's Tony's mic.
Yeah,
your mic, is your mic, brother? It's fucked. It's a no go, buddy. It's all over. He'll work it out and come back. Darren, you obviously you're not a Tim Krul fan or anyone else, mate. You like the team that we've got, and you can see it's hot. This is a bloke who's predicting the top 4 next season.
Yeah. So all right. So let's take players from the teams who just got relegated. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes some sense. Now look, there's no one in there.
He'll give you 18 goals.
I've got to be honest. I haven't seen enough of Norwich, Watford, or Bournemouth this year. I haven't watched enough of them. I only ever watch Arsenal, and you see clips on Match of the Day. There's a couple of good players, but no one for me stands out. If Villa had got relegated, I would have liked Grealish.
Yeah, he'll go for it.
He reminds me of Guendouzi.
Can you hear me now?
He'll go for his nice feet.
Yes,
yeah, I got you now, Tony.
Yeah.
I can hear the television or the radio on somewhere.
It's an echo. It's an echo.
Oh, it is, yeah.
So,
blimey. And we've had an echo all the way through then.
No, I think it just came now. Tony, what
just come now, I think.
You know, I've just had a message from my wife. This is
to bed.
I know. I've just had a message from my wife. Now I'm in a fucking separate building.
Well, what's the message? What's the message?
I'm in a separate building. In my office, and she said, "Tone it down, deaf lugs. I can hear you in the house." It's getting worse.
Hello. Tony, you there?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me because every time I speak.
Yeah, I can get you now, mate.
Yeah, so I disagree with pretty much all the players that everyone said.
I didn't say any.
Well, I disagree with that as well then, don't I? To be fair, Sarr is Watford's best player, but we don't need a right winger, and he can exclusively play on the right. That's all we can do. He also doesn't do his defensive work. I mean, Arteta pointed out after the game that the Watford wingers cheat, and I think we said that earlier in the year when we played them at Vicarage Road. No one's mentioned him, and I don't like Decore, I never have done. But Deulofeu, we need a left winger. Obviously, I don't know about his injury. He got injured in February, and I don't know he's back. But as a left winger, a guy that takes people on, I see. Adi mentioned Sarr as a Zaha light. I see Deulofeu as that. He runs at people all day. I think he's not as dangerous as Zaha, but he's probably technically a little bit better in terms of like finishing and crossing the ball and whatnot. Norwich, for me, Cantwell, especially if we're going to go to a three in midfield. I think Lowe and Aarons are overrated. And I like Godfrey, to be fair, but I'd go Cantwell over him. Bournemouth, David Brooks, for sure. But, I mean, him and Cantwell are pretty similar.
Oh, that's one of Schwing's favourite players, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's been out for a long time. He's only just came back. But, sometimes when you see a player and they just sort of ooze class, and there's so much, I think there's so much in them. I mean, they pay good money for him, but I really like him. I don't know if you want to double onto this, because same sort of topic. As we started this live, Island Gooner Boy said, would anyone take Troy Deeney?
Yes. I'd make him sit with Mesut Ozil and Matty Guendouzi. Fucking wanker. Am I getting grumpy, or is it getting later? Do you know, I'm going to...
Yeah.
It's
this echoes.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Gonna kill. It's only Tony that didn't have an echo.
Oh, your echo's gone there.
Fucking absolutely shithouse. Is that better? Oh, I think my echo's gone.
Is my echo gone?
Well,
yeah, your echo's
gone. A little bit.
So is Tony still hurt? Maybe Tony went. Tony. Yes, he told you. Oh, he's still there. Look, echo back.
This is
Echo's back.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up very quickly, boys. I'm just going to scoot through a few questions. Why do you continue to play Luiz at the back four? It never ends well. Either he plays in the back three or not at all, Tony.
Completely.
Okay.
Can I stick up for David Luiz?
Yeah, go on.
Best ball player.
Do you know what? I am sick and tired of Arsenal fans criticising David Luiz. To me, it's a no-brainer. The guy is at the end of his career. We know he's at the end of the career. He's not going to get better every year now, is he? He's not going to get better. We know he's fading out. The fella has won pretty much everything that's available in fucking football, and is an extremely well-liked in the dressing room. The young players like him. The manager likes him. Of course he's going to make mistakes. Of course there's problems. He's going to get worse. But he is still somebody fabulous to have at our football club. And we're just so blinkered. It's always that fucking mistake. You know, we're in the fucking FA Cup final because of him.
Okay. No, look, I can't say much because I think I wrote him off after the City game. So
just to add, he is our best ball playing centre back. He can play with.
You watch him, Addy. You're right. Addy, you're so right. Look, who else in that back four can ping 40, 50-yard balls out accurately to our wingers or our wing backs? You know, he's got an incredible range of passing.
I read an article the other day. Darren, I read an article the other day. It was one of the pundits over there. Might have been Sherwood. He was saying Arsenal signed the wrong defender. We should have gone for Cahill.
Yeah, I mean, do you see that's
my God.
what Cahill went to Crystal Palace, who are fucking, honestly, he's a fucking knobber. Cahill or fucking Louise, what I mean? We're not seeing the best of him. We're not seeing the best of him because he's at the end of the career. We know that. He's coming towards the end. But what he has given us is another dimension to our football. Yes, he's making mistakes. He's a little bit slow. But if you were stood next to fucking Mustafi, fucking Holding, fucking Kolasinac, you'd fucking make mistakes because you're having to do everything. His effort, his leadership is something we've been missing. We've been missing players who are leaders in the dressing room. We've talked about it fucking week after week on this podcast and many others, that we need leaders. We've got no leaders in our dressing room. We need a Tony Adams. Well, fucking David Luiz, we've got one. Jesus. Just leave the fella alone.
The wife is going to come with another message,
She'll be up you. Holding for me, his time's up. I think. I just wanted to say that very quickly when you mentioned Holding. He had that really good. Was it half season or season under Wenger, and then got
first
injured,
season.
and first season, and that was it. I don't know. FPL Canada, we cannot be considered a top 4 quality at present. What a one position, if you upgrade, would vault us into the discussion as Fernandes has done for United, and who would be the player? I'll go to Tony.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that one come in.
Well, while Tony's having a thought.
I have it.
All I'll say is Tony said earlier about we don't need anyone in midfield. I think that's the key position for us. We are missing Santi Cazorla, Cesc Fabregas, Jack Wilshere in his good days, Liam Brady going back a bit. We are missing a central midfield player that is the star of our team that links it all together. Mesut Ozil was going to be that player for us, never turned into it. I just think if we can find one of those, and I can't name him because I don't know who it is, but that's what we're missing. We need someone who can pick the ball up from those back 4, give them an option, turn in a tight space and create. And we don't have it. And Ceballos did it a little bit this year, but not consistently enough. So an upgrade on Ceballos, get Fabregas back tomorrow, get Cazorla back on one leg. But that's the position I think we need out of everything. Of course, we know our defence is a bit shit, but you can organise a defence. Don't tell me that the fucking... any back 4, Tottenham's back 4 is worse than ours, man for man. It's just they're well organised, they're well drilled, and Arteta seems to be able to do that. Of course, better personnel would help, but a central midfield player to create with those 5 players going forward, that's what we need.
Okay. Ken Hakon says, can you see Torreira being sold this summer? Addy?
Yes. As much as I loved Torreira in that first season, and I said if Torreira was signed under Arsene Wenger, I think Arsene would have loved him. But I can actually see him getting sold. I think we'll probably get 25-30 million from AC Milan. I think AC Milan are still looking at him. So not.
Okay. Torreira for me, I'm happy. I think he'll go, and I kind of want him to go because for me, it's another Guendouzi Torreira. It's them players that as you touched on, Darren, we need the strength in that midfield. Ceballos, I read that his loan might be extended or I don't know, extended and things. So I read that, Ceballos. Granted, if this Partey or whatever his name, if it comes off, I'm like, okay, this is starting to look decent midfield. Torreira and Guendouzi for me got to go.
Yeah, I think Torreira's been really disappointing. He's.
I said it back when we signed him. I said I don't know what people saw in him. I don't.
No, I understood why we signed him, but the issue with Torreira is that Emery did not play him in the position that he was supposed to play, because Torreira was a defensive midfielder. He's someone that comes, breaks up play, gives the ball. When he was in Italy again, most interceptions, because that was his job for Sampdoria. Sampdoria, I think he was at. That was his
Yeah,
job.
so
Bang,
Sampdoria,
to get the ball, release it. But then he came to Arsenal. He started off in that role alongside Granit or alongside Ramsey, and then obviously now Emery said, you know what? No, I want to press from the front. I'm not even going to play as a defensive midfielder. Go up as number 10. Remember his goal against Valencia at home? Was it Valencia at home? Or was it Napoli? No, sorry, Napoli. Napoli at home. Where I think he won the ball nice and high up the pitch, and he took the deflection off of Koulibaly in the Europa League. Went to it, and I think from there, Emery was like, "Cool, yeah, you're just gonna play high." And then again, started the season, he put Torreira as a number 10, and it just messed him up. Like he just didn't, and that's why I think he wanted to leave in the summer, because there were rumors of him leaving in the summer. I think he wanted to leave in the summer because he got disillusioned about. No, I'm a defensive midfielder. I play a specific type of football. And then obviously now Arteta doesn't want to play that football with a singular defensive
and
midfielder.
Addy, you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned Sampdoria, because he suited the way they play.
Yep, 100%.
So as soon as he come to Arsenal, his whole world changed, and it's like, what football's this? And whatever Emery was doing at the time, fuck knows. But yeah, that's you've hit it on the head, and he has never come back to. Well, it's just different style. I guess he doesn't suit our style. That's probably what it is.
Doesn't suit, and I don't think Arteta is going to go down that route of, okay, cool, I'm just going to have one defensive midfielder and then my two other midfielders are going to roam around. No, I think it's going to be an active midfield and a lot of rotation. You see, Granit goes into left back when Saka pushes up or Tierney pushes up. He needs a midfielder that can actually get the ball, as Darren's saying, and actually play. And because Granit's going to play under Arteta, I've taken that and I understand that Granit's going to play. So that other midfielder that's going to be with Xhaka has to be the creative one, and it has to be like a Cazorla, has to be a Fabregas.
Okay, I agree with that. Now I've just got two last quick questions, boys, and then we'll wrap this show up. Tony, I won't get your thoughts because we're going to touch on it next week in part 2. But who is the player of the season? Leno has been good, but for me it's Aubameyang who edges it. And we can get players based on our name size, but would this run thin if we were out of the Champions League for a while? Darren?
It's a tough one because there's not been many outstanding players this year, really. I mean, we're finished 8th. You know, it's been that.
Well, I'm going to surprise you a little bit because remember how we're doing a 3-2-1.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who it is because I haven't tallied up all the scores, but I can tell you there's quite a few fucking 3-2-1 points awarded to Guendouzi.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's funny, I was going to do it as a joke almost, but if Guendouzi had carried on playing, I think he was up there. But I think for me it's Leno. I mean, I think if it wasn't for him this year, and we know he's maybe not a great distributor of the football, but the saves that he's made this year have kept us in 8th. You know, we could have been really looking, we're not far off that relegation, you know, it could have been that sort of season. The way Emery had us at Christmas.
I echo that because I think obviously because of Martinez's like display now, everyone's thinking now, oh yeah, cool. Like Leno, yep, out of the team. Look, yeah, he's gonna have to fight. Look, I do think you have to fight as a goalkeeper, and it would be mean to just take Martinez out of the team, especially like his performance has been amazing. But Leno, again, I always go back to that Norwich away, the save in the first, before the end of the first half when he tipped it onto the post. The guy did some ridiculous saves this season, and he kept draws like as draws as with us not actually losing matches. Like it was even when we were Watford away when we conceded 30 shots on goal. He pulled off some great saves in that match again. Like and not a lot of people remember that, but a lot of people remember, the Chelsea mistake. Because yes, it was a big mistake. But then I remember again West Ham at home with Antonio. Like Leno has done a ridiculous job. And cool, Aubameyang will get all the plaudits because he's scoring the goals, and goals you win your games. Like if you don't score, you draw 0-0 in a game or you lose. So you do need the goals, but unfortunately, I think Leno's contribution was much greater than Aubameyang's contribution this year.
Okay, just one quick one, and I'll just get a quick. I don't know if you want to do A, B, or C. Thoughts on Cedric? I don't know if you want to do. Was he past Tony? I'll go to you quickly on Cedric. What you've seen so far?
Excellent backup. For me, Ainsley is our best right back, and him and Hector, there's different horses for different courses. Level-wise, I don't think there's much between us.
Okay, Darren.
Strange signing. If you're going to get a right back because you're not so sure on Bellerin, then get one that's better. Haven't seen enough of him to see how he's going to turn out, but he doesn't look better. He looks, as Tony just said, backup. And I agree, actually, don't want to agree with Tony at the end of the podcast, but I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles has shown more as an attacking threat than the other two put together. So I just find it a strange sign. It wasn't the position we needed, anyone. It was a strange thing to take him on loan for $5 million. Strange business. Something not right there.
For me, I think shrewd signing. The Premier League proven, knows it in and out. And I think because remember, he's coming from injury and didn't play football for a long time. Once he has a good pre-season underneath his belt, he will be Arsenal's starting right back.
Yeah, maybe. As I say, I haven't seen enough of him, but maybe you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good business. What was it? 5 million, was it?
5 million. Obviously, he was coming to the end of the contract. That part.
It was in the contract, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I couldn't work that out.
5 million. That was one thing I didn't know. But then, to be fair, I'm happy. I'm happy.
That was including his wages till the end of the season as well.
Oh, okay.
Right.
For me, people that have listened to us for a long time know for about 2 years I've wanted him. I really do rate him, but is he going to be the guy who's going to push you massively forward? For me, no. He's a good, solid, dependable player. And again, you've got to remember he hadn't played football for 5 or so months. I've always liked Ainsley, but I don't think anyone expected to be the level he's currently playing at. I mean, like even against City, I know he's on the left, but every time he's played, he's been exemplary. You can't criticise him.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but Ainsley doesn't want to play at fullback. That's his problem.
No.
If he actually accepted it, then I'll be like, you know what, cool. Like be the right back. That's it. But then he just no, I want to play centre midfield. And unfortunately, you're not gonna get there.
I'm going to finish off with a Granite Wank. FPL Canada, do we give Granite back the armband?
No.
Oh, come on. It's me you got to fucking do it.
Not swear at the fans, no.
Tony?
Does it really matter? He's obviously the captain. Whether people like it or not, you watch the pitch, he's the captain. You listen to the game with no sound, he's the captain. Will an extra piece of string around his arm actually make that much of a difference? I probably wouldn't give him it because some fans don't like it. I couldn't care less. I would give him it. But if it's going to piss fans off, then let someone else wear the string and still leave him as the obvious captain on the pitch that he obviously is.
And Darren, you are in agreement with me, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
So look, imagine if Aubameyang leaves, yeah. If Aubameyang leaves, yeah, I would actually give the captaincy to William Saliba. That's how bad it is.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See, look.
Fucking hell. Fuck me. Come on, little kitty. Now, fucking... Oh, no. Fucking Jesus. Anyway, let's wrap this show up. It's probably like 3 a.m. over there for you boys. And Darren's got to get his beauty rest, and his missus
Well,
keeps
that's
yelling
one
at
thing I
him.
don't need, obviously. But yeah, I do need to get to bed.
Hey, thank you for listening. We are the Clock End Talk. Just quickly, while Darren's cackling in the background, we've
Can't help it.
we've got a shirt giveaway. You'll see it. Just follow our socials, okay? At @clockend_talk. I put a poll up during the week, and we managed to get Schwinn to model some shirts as well. So MAA Gunner told us that the Schwinn. So, the Mystery Man. There is a couple of t-shirts up there for sale as well. I just threw them up if anyone's interested. Once again, follow our socials. It's all there. Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you. And we'll be tuning in with Schwinn next week for part 2 of this
Okay.
podcast.
Thanks, Tez.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.